Mazda's best-selling vehicle, the CX-5, is getting pretty long in the tooth. We first saw the second generation CX-5 from Mazda back at the end of 2016, and about 7 years later now, we've got a lot of new Mazda products, so like the CX-50, CX-60, CX-90, but we have no news about its best-selling crossover, the CX-5, and its redesign. Until now, news is coming out of Australia about the best-selling CX-5, so let's get into it. We're over at Drive in Australia. Next generation Mazda CX-5 confirmed, due in 2025. That is going to be about 8 years of a product cycle on your best-selling vehicle, which, I mean, here's the thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I just reviewed the Toyota 4Runner, and that thing's still an amazing truck, super solid, and is worth every penny, even here in 2023, even though that thing is ancient. The Drive had a chance to speak with Alistair Doak from Mazda Australia, and he essentially said pretty obviously that there is a next generation CX-5, it's coming, and it's their top selling model globally, so it makes sense. I think they sold like nearly 400,000 CX-5s globally last year, and in the United States, I mean, it was down a little bit in 2022, but in the peak in 2021, they sold nearly 170,000 CX-5s. When asked if Mazda will introduce a hybrid version of the CX-5, Mr. Doak said that would be telling, wouldn't it? I'm surprised he even said that much. I think it's all but confirmed at this point that it will get a hybrid, and we'll talk about that hybrid here in a little bit. But then he goes on to say, but as I said before, there's a new generation eventually coming, but it's not next year. So not here in 2023, no surprise, because they have the CX-90 and CX-60 kind of taking the spotlight. Also not in 2024. So it'll come out in 2025, probably as a 2026 model year. So that's about 8 model years of the current generation, and then the 9th model year, we have a 3rd generation. Mazda had a roadmap recently where they talked about their upcoming powertrains and what we could see by 2025. So they say 3 electric vehicles, which we already know 2 electric sedans are coming for the Chinese market, as well as I think plug-in hybrid versions of them. I could be wrong, but I know battery electric sedans are coming for China, like the new Mazda 3 and probably a Mazda 6, but probably exclusive to that market. 5 plug-in hybrids. Well, that's pretty easy to count 4 because we have CX-90, CX-80, CX-70, CX-60. What's the 5th? Is there going to be a plug-in hybrid Mazda 6 for the global markets? We can dream, right? And they say 5 traditional hybrids. So to me, that's them hybridizing their entire lineup. So what do we have for Mazda hybrids right now? Well, none in America outside of the CX-90. But their lineup consists of the Mazda 3, rest in peace Mazda 6. Mazda Miata is not going to get a hybrid by 2025, I don't expect. So Mazda 3, CX-30, CX-5, CX-50, that's 4, and maybe we can get our hopes up for a Mazda 6 hybrid. So let's go over the obvious engine choices first, and we'll go over the hybrids could be used with Toyota. We'll get into that in a little bit. So we already have, at least in our market for the CX-5, the base engine, 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque, made it the 6-speed auto. That's probably going to continue over unless they come out with a new 8-speed automatic transmission. They can't use the 8-speed, I don't expect, the 8-speed in the CX-60 and the CX-90 because that is a longitudinal setup, rear-wheel drive bias. The CX-5 will remain front-wheel drive bias. They got to keep the cost down on it. So this is a lock, and the Skyactiv G Turbo should be a lock for America as well, with 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. All-wheel drive standard. I know in certain markets they have it in front-wheel drive, but in America, all-wheel drive is standard on all of our CX-5s, actually all Mazda crossovers at this point. Where it gets a little hairy here is their powertrains for the hybrid end of things. I think for the CX-50, the most logical adaptation of a powertrain would be Mazda using what is also produced in the same plant in Alabama as the CX-50 is the Corolla Cross Hybrid, which is the 2-liter inline 4 with 196 horsepower in the all-wheel drive trims. But could they put something larger in there that we see like in the RAV4? I guess it's possible. It is a bigger vehicle than the Corolla Cross, so it would make sense to have a larger displacement engine to fuel the system. So here we go, up to around 240 horsepower on the 2.5-liter hybrid setup. But Mazda could also use their own engines, their own Skyactiv G engines, instead of Toyota's engines, which I think is the most likely. So their powertrains could be quite a bit different. we know Mazda's 2.5 liter doesn't produce 189. It produces just a few ponies less. So it would be really close to these power numbers that I'm expecting, around 230 to 240 horsepower, if they decide to put the 2.5 liter Skyactiv G engine in. We don't see any models, I don't think, anymore. Maybe the base Mazda 3 and the Mazda MX-5 with the 2 liter Skyactiv engine. So that is still an option, but I would say unlikely. But let me know if you would also like to see a Mazda CX-5 and a plug-in hybrid. They said they're bringing 5 to the market, but I just don't expect really too many outside of the new platform, the CX-60 through CX-90. We have nothing to go off of based off of exterior design. We could extrapolate based off the CX-50, but I don't think it's going to be as long and wide as that vehicle. I should retain its shorter nature to it, a little bit more upright, a little bit more narrow than the CX-50. The styling of like the CX-60, that's probably a good indicator of where the design of the CX-5 redesign will be. Interior, don't expect it to change actually that much that we have here. I just want more comfortable seats in that vehicle, larger seats as well. Now, could Mazda just cancel the CX-5 in favor of the CX-50? The answer is no, not in America, because they sell about 170,000 CX-5s alone. The plant in Alabama can only produce at maximum capacity, which they're nowhere close to right now due to the lack of workers. They can only produce about 150,000 CX-50s there. So they absolutely need vehicles being imported from Japan in the form of the CX-5 to supplement the demand for the Mazda crossovers. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. I can't wait to see what you want in the next generation, third generation Mazda CX-5. Are you disappointed that we got to wait to 2025? I am a little bit. At least we have the CX-50 to nibble on. That's still brand new. And hopefully we get that hybrid powertrain like next year to satiate the appetite of a fuel-efficient crossover from Mazda that's not something as expensive as a CX-70 and CX-90 plug-in hybrids. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button, subscribe for more Mazda updates along the way. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.